Newsline 9's Patty Suarez, weeknights at 6 and 10.
The Prudential College Football Report is sponsored by the Prudential. Your Prudential representative goes above and beyond to meet your needs in insurance and other financial services. The Prudential, your rock in financial services.
Jim Nantz and Ara Parsegan back in New York. 7-0 Nebraska leading at halftime. A couple of costly turnovers here. The picked off pass thrown by Thompson. Rodney Anderson fumbling twice. You've said all day, though, this is coming down to the fourth quarter, Ara.
I still feel that way. This is a defensive struggle, no question about it. And this should be no surprise, because coming into this ball game, Oklahoma was #1 in total defense and scoring defense, and Nebraska was not very far behind.
Okay, Coach, let's see what's happening elsewhere. UCLA and USC playing for the Rose Bowl, and the Bruins lead it now at the half. Gaston Green has scored the touchdown there for the Bruins in the first half. Penn State has won 6 of the last 7 years against Notre Dame. Second loss of the season for the Irish. Today, Blair Thomas, 214 yards and a touchdown. More on this game coming up at the half. Wisconsin today, no match for Michigan State. Lorenzo White only played 1 half, and he had 19 carries, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Here's one of them, racing 23 yards down the sidelines. His running mate, Blake Ezor, had 28 carries for 144 yards. Of course, Michigan State headed to the Rose Bowl. Ohio State and Michigan. The Buckeyes won it for Earle Bruce in his final game as the coach there for the Buckeyes. In fact, the players head-banded together for Coach Bruce, trailing 13-0 at one time. They came back to make it 13-7. Then here it's Tom Tupa to Carlos Snow, and the freshman goes 70 yards for the score. The final 23-20, and Earle Bruce rides off to victory on the shoulders of his players. What a great feeling that has to be.
That really is. I didn't have many opportunities, but I got a few rides off the field.
Oh, you had a few of those, I know. 23-20, the final there for the Buckeyes. More on Earle Bruce. We'll be hearing from him at the half as well. Minnesota and Iowa. Chuck Hartlieb completed. First of all, Indiana finishes its season with 8 wins. First time in 20 years the Hoosiers have done that. Now Minnesota and Iowa. The Hawkeyes quarterback Chuck Hartlieb completed 14 passes in a row at one point. That's only got a minute to go there, and Iowa up by 2 scores. Oklahoma State is going to the Sun Bowl, leading now with about 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Thurman Thomas, 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. Colorado, 41-0 over Kansas State. Just minutes left there. The Buffs next week will take on Nebraska. Wyoming and UTEP. Wyoming with a win today will go on to the Holiday Bowl to take on Iowa. 24-13 over UTEP in the third. BYU and Utah. This is now 18-16. Utah waiting for the extra point, I now hear. But the story there, BYU's quarterback Sean Covey has been carried off the field in the last couple of minutes in an ambulance. Possible neck and head injuries for the quarterback from BYU, Sean Covey. Cal and Stanford, the 90th edition of this game, tied at 7 in the second quarter. Washington and Washington State. This is the battle for the Apple Cup, and the disappointing Huskies, they've had a terrible year, 5-4-1, leading by 4 in the third quarter. And they call this matchup in Oregon the Civil War, and the Ducks leading the Civil War 27-0 in the second quarter. Well, the coach and I will have more scores and highlights in a moment. You're watching the Prudential College Football Report here on CBS, where the results continue from around the country.
We go above and beyond just like you, above and beyond what we have to do, investing in what's right for you.
Your Prudential representative helps your money work hard with CDs, mutual funds, and more.
You work hard, so do we, to make what you work for a reality. The Prudential, above and beyond.
Soar beyond your expectations. Today, the Prudential can show you a new world of financial opportunities. Look to the Rock for stocks and bonds, mutual funds. Feel its strength in CDs, insurance, and mortgages. With the right choices, the right guidance, you can move mountains. The Prudential, your rock in financial services.
Now, as far as that extra point in that Utah-BYU game, Utah went for 2 and converted the 2-point conversion. That game tied now early in the fourth quarter. More finals. Texas A&M scoring the final 19 points in the game. In fact, scoring 19 in a 3-minute span. Watch this one now. The freshman on the dribble drive is Darren Lewis, and the freshman will go 80 yards for the touchdown. He had 197 yards on the day, and 2 scores as A&M beats TCU by the score of 42-24. It looks like that's going to set up a showdown on Thanksgiving Day against Texas, because the Longhorns leading now midway in the fourth. The winner of Texas A&M on Thursday will go to the Cotton Bowl and take on Notre Dame. Tennessee and Kentucky. Volunteers come back to win it. In fact, their freshman running back, Reggie Cobb, went over the 1,000-yard mark, only the second volunteer running back ever to gain 1,000 yards in a season. But the story today, the best outstanding performance by one player, Craig Hayward, Ironhead today, 259 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. He wins the regular season rushing title. He went over 100 yards in every game this season, only the 8th player in NCAA history to have at least 100 yards rushing in every game. Harvard won the Ivy League title, beating Yale 14-10 at the Yale Bowl. This was the winning touchdown. Harvard's Tony Hines scoring on the passing variety here is Hines. 19-yard score in the third quarter was the winner. 14-10, Harvard, the Ivy League champion. Brown and Columbia. Columbia led by 10 points with 6 minutes left and lost to make its losing streak now up to 41 in a row. The game winner was on a 4th and 2 play, and Brown scored on that 4th and 2 play from 12 yards out. Darrell Clark with only 47 seconds left. And again, Columbia loses. Lafayette and Lehigh meeting for the 123rd time. Lehigh wins it there by 7. North Carolina and Duke. The Tar Heels finished their year at 5-6, but a victory for the basketball team today over Syracuse. North Carolina State and Virginia. The Cavs end their season with 4 straight wins and are headed to the All-American Bowl. Wake Forest beat Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech right now 2-8 on the season. Very disappointing year for first-year coach Bobby Ross there. Appalachian State and Western Carolina. Western Carolina loses. It closes out its season, does Western Carolina today, but the coach there, Bob Waters, stricken with ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, has told me he will be back next year to coach the Catamounts. And Fordham today in Division III playoff action beat Hofstra 41-6. Fordham last played in a postseason bowl game in 1941 when Fordham was in the Sugar Bowl. And a victory today for Fordham. Next week they'll go against Wagner in the second round of the Division III playoffs. Well, the coach and I will return with more in just a moment. The Prudential College Football Report continues here on CBS with more Division III playoff scores from around the country.
We go above and beyond just like you. Above and beyond what we have to do. Ensuring the best in life for you.
When it comes to life insurance, nobody goes above and beyond like your Prudential representative.
You take pride in your life, so do we. Going above and beyond is our policy. The rock, the Prudential, above and beyond. We go above and beyond just like you. Above and beyond what we have to do. Caring for what's special to you.
Only your Prudential representative goes above and beyond with a pre-review of your auto insurance.
We go above and beyond like you do. Taking care to protect what's important to you. The rock, the Prudential, above and beyond.
Well, earlier here today on CBS Sports, you saw Penn State hold on to edge out a victory over Notre Dame. Verne Lundquist and Dick Vermeil called the action, and they filed this report on the game's thrilling conclusion.
On a frigid afternoon, the Irish and Lions warmed things up considerably. A terrific ball game. Penn State wins it by 121-20. It all came down to a 2-point Notre Dame try with 31 seconds to go, Dick.
Verne, I thought that 2-point play was a run-pass option attempt, but it was not. It was a run all the way. You can see here that Tim Brown in the slot was coming to block a linebacker. The big offensive guard, Tim Grenard, was coming to block downfield. Therefore, the quarterback was coming to run.
And as Tony Rice rolls out to his right, watch the defensive effort by number 84, Keith Karpinski, to force the play back inside. And then Pete Kirkendall makes the tackle to preserve the Penn State victory, after which Lou Holtz talked with Steve Davis.
The big thing I think we're going to find out is that we had an either-or play called, and they were overloaded to one side, and we went into it, and that's bad luck.
The good luck is Notre Dame did accept the Cotton Bowl invite, and they will face the Southwest Conference champion on January 1st here on CBS. Final again, Nittany Lions 21, Irish 20. Now back to Jim Nantz.
Well, the Chevrolet most valuable players in that game, Neb Bolkar for Notre Dame and Blair Thomas with that 214-yard rushing effort for the Nittany Lions. A check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated by Chevrolet to each of the school's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. Now, to start out the day, you said the weather could really neutralize this game, and it really did.
Well, the temperature certainly, and the wind was a big factor in that game.
We were watching the end of this game, the two-point conversion, and you called the play right here. You said the Irish would roll right.
Right, but you also note that Lou Holtz talked about an either-or situation. That Tony Rice had an opportunity, and you see him right here in the circle, could have called his play right or left. He elects to go right where they're loaded. Keith Karpinski, number 84 there, turns him in right there, and he forces him into the pursuit. Kirkendall, the tackle, comes in, knocks him down, and Notre Dame is denied the 2 points that would have won the ball game. But as Lou Holtz said, Rice should have called that play to the left where they would have had a better opportunity.
Well, next week, Notre Dame must regroup. They'll take on Miami, a game you'll see here on CBS. Now, earlier today, as we told you, Ohio State beat Michigan. That game marked the final Buckeye coaching appearance for Earle Bruce, who was fired on Monday. After the game, an emotional Earle Bruce had this to say.
I guess anyone has a right to fire me, fire a president does. But what I don't like is what they're saying and what they've said, the trustees and the president. They haven't said the right things. I have great pride in my integrity in the football coaching. I learned it from Coach Hayes.
Now, earlier this morning, we spoke with Rick Bay, who resigned as Ohio State athletic director in protest over the firing of Earle Bruce. Asked him about how Woody Hayes would have reacted.
Jim, there's some question as to whether this situation would have happened at all if Woody Hayes were still alive. He had that much clout in the community and was revered to that extent. But certainly if he were here and this had happened, you would have had another colorful news conference from Woody Hayes.
Well, I know Bo Schembechler does not like losing any football games, but today, I know his heart had to go out for Earle Bruce. He said it this week.
Well, I'll say this. I'm very happy for Earle Bruce. He deserved to win. And Bo Schembechler, I'll guarantee you, doesn't like to lose, but this one will be a little easier to swallow.
All right, Coach. Coming up next, the second half, Oklahoma and Nebraska. Nebraska leading it right now 7-0. I'm Jim Nantz, along with Earle Parsegan here in New York. Thanks for watching the Prudential College Football Report here on CBS.
The Prudential College Football Report has been sponsored by the Prudential. Your Prudential representative goes above and beyond to meet your needs in insurance and other financial services. The Prudential, your rock in financial services.
This program is coming to you from CBS.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Carpenter in the TV9 newsroom. Here are some of the stories we're working on this afternoon. Do some people take their sports too seriously? 4 are in jail and 2 others recovering from injuries after a brawl at a basketball game last night. It started with a fist fight between 2 adults during the All-City Preview Tournament. Police say no students were involved. 2 men already charged with murder in Oklahoma have been charged with a series of crimes in Wichita. And a Hispanic group upset over the police shooting of burglary suspect Mark Rios is meeting with the district attorney this afternoon. Today's Foodline 9 drive, another big success, thanks to you. Hundreds of people participated in gathering canned goods for the Oklahoma City Food Bank, and we thank all of you who gave. Our Bill Tegans is in Lincoln for the game, and he will have a live report on Newsline 9 tonight at 6, along with all the rest of the sports news from Rich Henkels and weather with Alan Mitchell. Join Sheila Highland and me here at 6. We'll see you then.
Montgomery Ward unleashes a powerhouse. Electric Avenue, rapidly becoming the most competitive appliance electronics store in America. Choose from Sony, RCA, Tappan, Amana, Pioneer, Magnavox, GE, and Maytag. Top-line brands at bottom-line prices. Electric Avenue Appliances and Electronics. We won't be undersold on our advertised national brands. Turn up your buying power on Electric Avenue at Montgomery Ward. Now on sale, all brand-name microwave ovens, all RCA Electronics.
You are about to see the best mid-size car you can buy. It happens to be the one with the highest standard mileage of any mid-size in America. It happens to be the one with the longest warranty of any mid-size in America. It happens to be the one with the best value of any mid-size in America. And it happens to be the one with the lowest price of any mid-size in America. It happens to be The new 1988 Dodge Aries America.
See your Oklahoma City Metro Dodge dealer today.
If you don't need Gatorade this winter, maybe you just don't get thirsty.
Gatorade is thirsty for that deep down body of thirst.
Newsline 9's Jack Bowen, weeknights at 6 and 10.
You got the young body and the strong heart. Got life ahead. Drinking hurts.
Want a drink?
You wanna be smart.
No thanks.
Be smart. Don't start.
Aha! There's a thief in this attic. This skimpy amount of insulation can rob you blind on your fuel bills.
Fight back with the attic blanket from Owens Corning. It's the thickest, most powerful roll of pink insulation you can add. It can help you save money on your fuel bill.
It is an open and shut case.
Owens Corning. We put your house in the pink.
Wait till you see the changes we're making at Howard Johnson.
This is Howard Johnson?
This is Howard Johnson.
This is Howard Johnson?
This is Howard Johnson.
Sometimes you got it today. Emerson's got it right. Fine tune your life. Nobody's gotta tell you. Emerson does it right. Fine tune your life.
Fine-tune your life with Emerson.